Ahoy there, Legion! TennoCon 2018 brought spaceships, hoverboards, and a song that is very likely still stuck in your head. With all the polish and pizzazz of a gaming convention came press and interviews, namely one from the angriest Joe this side of the void. While he didn't ask my most pressing Twitter question, for which I am deeply wounded, he did ask a nearly as important one towards the end of the interview. Almost 14 minutes in, and right before they wrapped it all up, the angry army commander himself said, "Okay, so I guess the biggest question then is, when?" And after a brief accented pause, and then, when really? This is potentially a remark about last TennoCon's reveals and when they actually released to the player base. But more on that in a minute. While Steve completely left out the new war, as for Fortuna, he said, quote, "We're kind of aiming for fall. And for Railjack, I would love if we could drop you a kind of early version for players to experience before the end of the year. That's the goal." And on a high note, I've checked around other websites and articles and they all seem to agree Steve has said in official capacity that they're aiming for a fall/autumn release date, and a small version of Railjack to be playable and in our hands before the year is out. There are some concerns with this though, which is what Angry Joe might have been referring to with that double emphasis on when and then when really. Now new Tenno fresh out of the cryo freezer, or old vets coming back to see what all this singing's about, might not recall that at last year's TennoCon, he announced both Planes of Eidolon and the Sacrifice to much applause. Like with Fortuna, Planes had no set release date during the live stream, but in interviews, Steve was quoted saying they're aiming for August and Sacrifice before the end of the year, which was close to the same time frame of both The War Within and The Second Dream before it. As things often happen in gaming, they ran into some delays and unforeseen consequences. So what was August changed to September, and the actual release date of Update 22, Planes of Eidolon, was October 12th. Now even with those delays, there was hope among the player base and myself that Umbra and the Sacrifice would still squeak on through just before the end of the year, as Steve is hoping for with Railjack. But as we all know, the Sacrifice didn't actually arrive until June 14th, nearly an entire year after it was revealed to be on the way. So as for their prediction of a fall release for Fortuna, they will either inevitably push that back closer to winter, or they have preemptively given themselves such wiggle room and prepared. After all, this is the second landscape feature they are releasing, so they must have learned some shortcuts to the process along the way. But with their release scheduling history, it does beg the question, in the potential scenario that Fortuna is delayed, what room does that leave for Railjack? Fortuna has been in the works for a long while now, with the town and minor outdoor elements being shown off on Devstream 107 back in February. But while the idea of Railjack has been in their minds for years, almost didn't even make it to TennoCon. On Steve's Twitter he posted, 15 days ago, entire Railjack section of the demo was going to be cut, broken, incomplete, flawed, but our team went all in. He continued, "I've wanted this type of gameplay since I was a boy. Solaris scene, we all live together and I choke up because the song and its message became real for me." While inspirational in one hand, knowing it barely even saw the light of day doesn't exactly inspire confidence in a timely release either. Luckily, this isn't a Half-Life 3 situation, so we'll actually get this gaming greatness. But even with Fortuna being the closest content update of them all, anyone holding their breath for the new war might want to inhale, as we very well could see TennoCon 2019 before that dropship comes in. When do you think the updates are going to show up, Legion? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, we'd be honored if you'd like, favorite, and share it with your fellow Tenno. We always appreciate it when you does. Quite close to the 50k subscriber amount right about now. Hoping to hit that before the end of the year. As always, thank you for watching, and catch you next time, Legion. Take care.